So, with that's our little intro music, bringing you into Bible study with the Baptists. Well, before I actually start the series, which I'm not going to start it on this episode, I'm going to preface this with describing why it is that I'm doing this series. And a good friend of mine, content collaborator, and good friend, almost like a brother. He asked me, he's a Christian. He asked me, why am I doing this? And so, if it's not obvious to anyone, Bible study with the Baptists, I will not be preaching the word of the Bible. I will not be telling you the things in the Bible are true. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reading the Bible as it states in the version that I have, or in the and I can even look at other ones if people would like me to. But I'm going to be analyzing the words and the context in which they are, and people will defend it and say, oh well, it was like that was then. But you have to realize that God in the Bible states that He is now as He was, is, and forever will be. And if that statement is true, then everything in His Bible is exactly how He wanted it to be, or it would not be in there. So, if you take God at His word, then you have to believe that everything that He dictates in this book is as He wanted it. Now, that again is on the prefaces that anything in the book is real, that anything in the Bibles are real. You have to take all of that on faith. No. And so in faith is a horrible way to get to anything. So what I really want to do is to dig down into this book and into these stories and try to analyze the character of God, the character of the people in the Bible. Are these people moral? Are the messages moral? And if they are not moral, then I ask the question, why do you worship Him? Because here's the thing, and me personally, if you could prove to me that a God was real, then you then have to prove to me that the Christian God was that God. And even if you could prove to me that the Christian God is real, based on the things that are in the Bible, I would never worship that being. So, and you're like, oh, what blasphemy? Well, it's not about blasphemy. It's about being honest with ourselves and believing, as human beings, believing the most true things that we possibly can. And I don't think there's a problem with that. And what I was starting to stay with about my friend is I could tell he is offended or hurt that I would even do this. And it's not an attack on people. It's an attack on an institution. And this institution, if it's based on reality and is based on truth, is much bigger and much stronger than I am. And it should not fear any kind of inquiry. Like I posted a quote the other day. It says, "The truth does not fear inquiry." And it's really multifaceted to anyone or any concept or idea not based in truth. Like if you are based with factual evidence and demonstrable evidence, you will not fear inquiry. The only people who fear inquiry are those who stand on a basis of falsehoods, lies, misconceptions, propaganda. Like, think about it like this. I'm not sure everyone has ever met one, but I'm sure most of us have met pathological liars in our lives. I mean, people who create, large unfounded claims, and some of us, I mean, like in my youth, when I was a young kid, I had met some people, and at the beginning of meeting such people, like my understanding is to like, why would this person lie to me? Why is he making grand claims that do not seem rooted in a very likelihood of being true? And so I would give these people a benefit of the doubt, and sooner than later, either the claims kept on getting bigger or the current claims just didn't hold weight. So you have to chalk this person up as a pathological liar. That exact exact thing that happened with me in Pathological Liars at an early age happened with me in religion later in my life. And so I accepted an entire religion based on what people around me, parents, ministers, priests, uncles, aunts, friends, the families, like most of the people around me accepted this fact to be true. They didn't question it. And if they did question it in their hearts, they didn't let anyone else know about it. And I know, and I have current family that are on that trend where they don't believe these things, but because their parents are still alive and not to upset them, they go to church every Sunday, they go through the routines, and they jump through all these hoops just for the facade of still being a Christian. And I wonder how many people that probably describes today. And why that fear describes so many people today is because, in my opinion, it's because of indoctrination. And I'm not speaking out of my ass. I was an indoctrinated Christian. I had no good reason to believe the things I did, but I did believe them. I held that I thought I had God in my heart and Jesus was my Savior and all these things. And then in my attempt to go look deeper, to strengthen my faith, not to prove to myself that this was real, because I never had a question. Not to, like, oh, maybe I won't stop believing if I just find the truth. No, when I went searching to strengthen my faith, it was not to like lose branches. I mean, I would have debated anyone, anywhere on behalf of my God and my Jesus. I would have done it anywhere. And the thing about it, most atheists and non-believers took away from a conversation with me of like, wow, you didn't get mad. What? How are you not getting? How can that be the stereotype of debating theology with Christians, is that they get mad? If you believe something, why would you ever allow someone else to disrupt your feelings about it? So while I thought I was right, in my attempt to strengthen it, I studied the history, the claims of the Bible versus the natural world, and even the small things about those times as illustrated against what we know of those times. And a lot of it does not stand up. And even furthermore, what I had to understand was that grand claims require grand evidence. And if you don't have that, what have you other than a pathological liar? Pathological liars do not want to be scrutinized. They don't want you to analyze the truthfulness of their claims. They want you to take them at face value. Science, which, I mean, like, while not, like necessarily a pseudonym or an anonym of any of these things, takes an entire different approach to claims. They want, most scientists, I can't speak for all of them, but most scientists and most scientific ideals, when discovered, want every bit to be true. And what do they do to make sure that they verify that truthfulness? Peer review, study, experimentation. They want their idea to be tested false so that they can strengthen it further to make sure that it's true, that it's demonstrably true and not just a claim. Now, science does not declare absolute truths about anything. So, like, we take it as our basic understanding, our current understanding of the natural world and the universe as it is. Those things can always change, versus as at one point in human history, most people thought that the sun went around the earth because we were the heliocentric, we were the center of the universe. So obviously everything must revolve around earth. Now, were we wrong to think that? Ultimately, yes. But in the time, with available methods of study, it appeared as if we were stationary and the sun went around us. We know now that's different. Those people were not wrong for thinking but that did not change the fact that they were in fact wrong. And I think religion is along that same lines. Some time ago, I don't believe we were wrong for thinking these things. Different people at different times attributed different things to a god, the sun, the moon, harvest, animals. You know what I mean? These things all were represented by gods to different people at different times in our cultural development. And at this point, I believe that humanity has achieved a point that we no longer need to believe in things until there is a reason to believe in them. And if you don't have a reason to believe in them, or a strong demonstrable one, then why do what you're doing? So, and furthermore, what I will end my intro for this series is, do not judge me so harshly. I started this once and I came at it with kind of a mocking tone, and I don't want to do that because, again, I was a Christian, and what I want you to understand is, it's like I don't need you to believe what I want you to believe. That's not my desire. I want people to come to their own answers, but through discovery. Don't accept what some person tells you as truth and then try to alter your worldview based on something that you don't even know is true. Because if you believe in Christianity or God or whatever you want, and I don't, the one thing that we have in common is that we share this universe together. So if it would be far beyond me to ask you to change your life based on something that I can't prove. So I would ask the rest of the world, and especially other Americans, do not force other people who do not believe what you do to live their worldview through your lens, especially if you can't prove it. That makes absolutely no sense. So anyway, again, I'm going to be starting the series. I believe this first episode is going to be this Sunday. I hope people watch. And if you don't, I understand. If you don't want your views tested, hey, I understand. It's your right. I can't say I understand, because even when I was a Christian, I would have taken any opportunity to defend my faith. And why people, and I've asked plenty of people, and their fear to. And I don't know why you would, unless you aren't strong in your beliefs, not necessarily strong in your knowledge. There's a lot of people that are strong in your knowledge, but if you're strong in your belief, you shouldn't be scared to defend anything. So, but with that, I will end the intro to Bible Study with the Baptist. I hope y'all follow with me. All right, and I hope you have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm out. It's thebomb.com.